Hey, today I'm going to make a video about love. Recently I've had a major awakening thing happen to me. Basically, my heart's opened up. I've been crying nonstop for the last 3 freaking days. I've realized a bunch of shit. Dealt with a bunch of stuff. I'm still dealing with a bunch of stuff. It's really, really intense, and I just want to share it. I just want to speak about it honestly because I think it could help a huge amount of people out there. And yeah, I'm just gonna tell the story. So here goes. Buckle in. When I was a kid, I didn't really get any love. Didn't have a dad. Mom was basically super abusive, super crazy, psychologically, physically abusive. It was brutal childhood. Didn't get any love at school from friends, anything like that. It was pretty just brutal overall. Growing up as an adult was much of the same. When I was 18, there was death in my family. Stepfather died. Mother killed herself. So that's a bit of fun. And I inherited a bunch of money, and then even more people were, on me like Chinaman on rice, Kid, no love, no self-belief, lots of money. You can see where that went. So a lot of people ripped me off, took advantage of me. It was pretty brutal. So as you can imagine, growing up, I'd meet women, and it wasn't good. I'd fall madly in love with girls in the worst needy possible way. If you're in the community, you probably know what I'm talking about. Anyways, it wasn't good. And these women would just run away screaming. It would just be like, I would just be like, and they would just run the fuck away. And it was really brutal. It was really brutal. And so I just kept experiencing the same type of pain. Fall in love, woman leaves me, pain. Fall in love, woman leaves me, pain. Same pattern as I had with my mother, right? You can't help but love your mother or any of your parents, right? No matter how bad they treat you. So it was the same, just being crushed over and over and over and over again. And somehow I kept loving, I kept meeting new people, new women, and somehow I was still able to fall in love. Insane. So then, back in, I guess, 2011, I started seeing this one girl, woman I call the Greek. Beautiful girl, true goddess, really amazing, smart, passionate, just an amazing woman. And I fell in love with her completely and totally. It was just brutal, beautiful and brutal all at once. It was just everything you see in a movie, just like complete undying love. It was fucking amazing. And during this period, I was in this PUA phase, right? So this is 2011, I was just about to go and do a bunch of coaching programs all around the world with other coaches, and it was really an exciting time. Things were just kind of happening for me. And I was really excited about it because it was really my passion, helping guys get good with girls and find themselves and, go and live more fuller lives. That was really the most exciting thing for me at that point in my life. It was really like, that's what I wanted to do. So I had a really brutal choice, be with this girl, stay with this girl, in one country, or leave the country and go travel around the world and do that whole thing. And I had plans for a year already planned. Even before I met her, I knew I was going to do this. So it was the ultimate clash of, civilizations are, they're like two opposites, they're like two opposite things. Be a world famous like PUA guru guy going around teaching courses and being all like hitting on girls and having sex and all this crazy shit, or be madly in love with one girl, basically marry this girl or make a serious commitment to her and just be with her. And it was a very brutal choice, and I knew no matter what I picked, I would regret not doing the other thing. I knew that at the time. If I stayed with her, I would always wonder, like, what would have happened if I went on this massive adventure? I would always regret not going. And then, of course, if I went, I would always look back and go, oh, fuck, I could have been with this girl, and what would have been? And, I was fucked anyway. And there was no way out of it. I was fucked. So I chose to follow my passion. I chose to go and, go around the world and do this stuff. So I went around the world and I did my thing. And it was the most brutal period in my life. For about 1.5 years, I was just madly in love with this woman, obsessed with her, coming up with beautiful poetry in my head and just thinking about her all the time. And just, it was so painful to love someone that much, fully with your heart, just absolutely fully, and to not be with them is it's torture. This is the only way I can think of it. It is torture. So when I left her for my trip, I kind of had this feeling, maybe it's a little arrogant or whatever, but the feeling was, that our connection was so strong and that she loved me so much that it didn't matter. That even if I left and traveled the world for a year and I came back, she would still want to be with me. Even if she was with some other guy, it didn't matter. I would still be able to get her back just because of the connection that we had. Is that true? I don't know if that's true, but that's what I felt at the time. That's all I can say. I'm gonna wait for this plane to go and then we'll edit this part forward. So a year and a half, or it was a year, no, so about a year goes by. And I suffer and I suffer and I suffer, and eventually, I go back to her. And I say, hey, I'm ready now. Sorry I left. I love you. I had to go do this thing, but I'm here now. And let's try this again. She was pissed. She was in a bad place. She'd had some other bad experiences with other guys in that time, and before that time as well. And she was just pissed. She was just like, you think you can just roll up here and be like, yeah, I'm back now. And I can totally understand where she was coming from. So she said no, and that was that. And that was brutal. And then I went out and traveled for about 6 months more, and then I saw her again. And again, I was like, and I went back with the intention of, trying to get her back again. And a funny thing happened at that time. 6 months later, about a year and a half from when I left the country, I just didn't feel it anymore. I didn't feel that crazy, mad, passionate love. She was in front of me, and it's like I like her, and I want to, I like her, and I want to be her friend and stuff. But I just didn't feel that fire, and I think she knew that. And that was the end of that romance. It was over. So I went on with my life and continued doing what I do, and at some point I met Isabel, my current wife. And it was cool. I was dating 3 other girls at the time. She'd come see me somewhere for a weekend maybe. We'd have fun. She'd go on her way, and that was it. We wouldn't see each other for a couple more months. It was good. And after a while, I noticed that, that it just felt good being with her. It felt comfortable. I don't know. I just felt a connection, and it was good. I felt good. And I said to her, look, why don't you just quit your job and just come travel around the world with me? You can help me teach the courses, and talk to the guys, and they can practice on you and all this stuff. It'd be cool. And she did. She came with me, and we've been traveling together for almost 2 years. It's been a blast. Now, for the rest of the story to make sense, I have to tell you a little bit about Isabel. Isabel has a very similar past to myself, super traumatic. Again, I'm not going to get into the whole thing here, but let's just say she didn't get any love as a kid either. Simple as that. Abusive. She had an abusive parent. Other parent didn't really give a shit, and that was just her life. She just didn't really get any love. So she comes from the same place as me. I didn't realize it till much later, but actually that lack of love, that place that we came from, that dark place, is actually one of the things that bring us closer together, because we really understand each other. We understand each other's pain, where we're coming from. So that'll make more sense later. So we're dating, and over a period of time, I guess a couple of years, Isabel, starts feeling really heavy stuff for me. Basically, she falls in love with me, but real hardcore, beautiful, limitless, just love. She just loves the shit out of me. And I can see this, after a while I can just see, like, this girl, she's fucking loving the fuck out of me. And I wasn't able to feel this love. I wasn't able to accept it. I couldn't face it. I couldn't deal with it. It was too terrifying for me to face it. And it took me a long time to figure out what the fuck was going on with me. And I figured it out 3 days ago. A really intense experience. The reason I couldn't accept her love, and the reason why she was unhappy in the relationship, partially, she'd had depression in the past, and she was still dealing with that pain. So that's, that's there, because that pain was never really resolved. But she was suffering greatly because of that pain and the fact that she knew I didn't love her the same way as she loved me. She knew I cared about her. Of course I cared about her. I mean, we have a great time. We have a huge connection, and we have an amazing relationship. But she still felt that I wasn't truly open. She could feel that, and I knew she could feel that, and I knew she didn't feel loved the way she loved me, and that hurt her a lot. And the reason for that was because my heart was completely closed. I'd closed off my heart to not feel the pain from loving this other woman. See, somewhere on some level, not consciously, but somewhere on some level, I believe that if I was to open up that channel, maybe it was my heart chakra that was closed, if you don't want to use that terminology, but definitely the heart. If I was to open that up, I would feel the pain of, not being with this other woman who I was completely mad and in love with. This woman who I thought I was going to be with forever, a woman who I thought was my soulmate. It's a brutal, brutal suffering. And so if I was to open up my heart, well, suddenly I would feel the love for her, and that would be painful. And not only that, because I'm with Isabel now, having that love for, my ex-girlfriend, the Greek, would be a betrayal to Isabel too. Why am I feeling that for her if I'm supposed to be, And the reality that, that if I still love my ex, then how can I be with Isabel? I'd have to break up with her, leave her, and that would be devastating for her, completely devastating. And that would be on me, it would be something I did. Like, why did I lead her on and be with her this whole time if actually I love someone else and I don't want to be with her? I mean, that's a fucking horrible thing to do. So for many, many reasons, there's probably more too, but it probably has a lot to do with my pain from my childhood and all this other, crap with my mom and being rejected by women I love and all this kind of crap. But basically, I couldn't open my heart. I couldn't feel love. I couldn't feel her love, her absolutely limitless, beautiful love towards me. I just couldn't feel it. So up in the last week, I've been having some revelations, some things have been opening up, something about, but not putting labels on things, not judging things so much, not comparing so much. One of the things that I was doing is I was comparing my love for the Greek to my love for Isabel, which is stupid. Like, why would you compare? Why would you compare that? Oh, this isn't as good as that, blah, blah, blah. I was doing that a lot in life with many topics, and I want to do a separate video about that. But I realized that it's bullshit. It's bullshit comparing anything to anything. What happened was that, amongst other little mini openings and revelations, we decided to go and do some MDMA, to party one night, because we don't drink, we don't go to clubs, and we pretty much don't do drugs. Though, mind-opening, state-shifting, healing plant medicines and stuff, I'm all down with that. MDMA is on the list because it actually puts you in a love state. So we took a little bit, then we went to a club, and we took a little bit more. And we're standing there on the dance floor of this club, and I'm coming up on these fucking pills that basically just make your brain pump out shit tons of serotonin. So suddenly your brain's just like not full of your natural love. I realized suddenly what I'd been doing wrong, what I'd been thinking wrong, what I'd been feeling wrong. In one moment, almost one moment. It was really about like a minute and a half, 2 minutes of just boom, heavy thinking and heavy introspection. It was an ongoing introspection over the week, but it all just kind of came to a head, and I realized that I am in fact madly in love with Isabel, and that I still love the Greek, and that both are okay. I realized that the connection I have with Isabel is completely unique, amazingly powerful, super close, beautiful in its own way, and is completely unique and different from any connection I could ever have with any other woman on the planet. In fact, it's different from any connection any two human beings have ever had or will ever have on this planet. And I realized also that the connection I had with my ex-girlfriend, the Greek, was also just as unique and beautiful and special. And that will always be what it is, just like my connection with Isabel will always be what it is. I realized, in fact, that that I could never, and I told Isabel that she's stuck with me forever, that I'm never going to abandon her in this life, and I suspect any others, and that she has nothing to fear. She's never going to have to worry about anything ever again, as long as I live and breathe. That she's my pig. And that is exactly what she wanted to hear. And she broke down and she cried, and I'd never seen somebody so happy in my life before, ever. So I realized that I was stuck in this false belief or paradigm, or I don't even know what to call it. But somehow in my heart I thought I could only love one, that there could only be one, and I had to make a choice. Is it her? If it's her, it's not her, but if it's her, I shouldn't be with her. And it's absolutely false. It's bullshit. It's bullshit. I have to share with you that it is fucking untrue that you have to pick who to love, that there are any limits to love, that you have to make any choices when it comes to love. You don't. There are no limits. There are no limits. Love is without limits. It's amazing that I ever thought there could be a limit on love. You can love as many people, things, places, anything, completely, fully, and totally, and it has no effect on any other people or things that you love. Just think for a second. I've got lots of friends. I got my old best friend Jeff in Toronto, Canada. I love Jeff. Jeff's my homeboy. Love him to death. I would never turn my back on him. I love my friend Marcus to death. Awesome guy. Would do anything for him. Does my love for Jeff affect my love for Marcus? If I love Jeff a huge amount, does that make less space for me to love Marcus? Of course not. It's fucking retarded. They're two different human beings, and I have two different relationships with them, and my love for one person has nothing to do with my love for another. They don't conflict. If I buy a puppy and I'm like, oh my God, you're the cutest puppy ever, you're the best puppy ever, and I just love this puppy, and I love this fucking puppy. But then also I've been loving my friend's dog, a big, juicy fucking bull mastiff, huge beast that I've known for years, and I love the fuck out of that dog. Does that mean when I get my puppy, I have to love him less? Does that mean I can't love the puppy the same way as the fucking, or as much as the mastiff? Well, that's fucking silly. It's not going to be the same way. It's going to be a different love. But I can love him just as much, just as strong. But it's going to be different, because love is always different. There is no such thing as same love. I'm not going to love one dog the same as another. I can't love Jeff the same way as I love Marcus, and I can't love Isabel the same way I love the Greek, because they're different people. They're different experiences. The things that create this kind of connection between two people. You can't just, it's not just like okay guys, love scale 1 to 10. It's fucking ridiculous. Everything is different. Everything is different. The connection, how you got there, how you realized it, what happened. You cannot compare. It's fucking, it's infinite. It's absurd to even try and do that. It's absurd to look at it as this limited thing. It's ridiculous. It's so ridiculous. So I realized, it took me a while, but I realized that I fully and completely love my wife Isabel in a way that can't even be described. I've been crying for 3 days in a row, just from the fact that I've opened up to it. And just as that is wonderful and good and eternal as far as I can tell, there's nothing wrong with the fact that I love my ex, who's another beautiful, wonderful human being. I love her in a completely different way. The very flavor of love is just different, and I realized that, one is, a passionate, like crazy, sexual, almost violent, jealous kind of like, I want to fuck the shit out of your, that kind of love feeling. And then another one is a more nurturing, I want to be with you and take care of you and make sure you're okay and love you and caress you and see you grow, and different type of love, completely different feeling, different flavor, different connection. It's just different. Hi, it's not a camera trick. the sound cut out the rest of that video, and it was pretty brutal to listen to, so I'm gonna redo it here. Yes, I'm also in another country now. So, the conclusion was that if your heart is closed, if you feel, or I guess not feel, that you're not able to fully love or be loved, and you're suffering, and a lot of people are suffering in that way. In fact, I think most people who are running around unconsciously are suffering, whether they know it or not. Then you can choose to love anyway. It's something I just wanted to put across. You can make the conscious decision to love. Treat people with kindness. Treat people with compassion. Treat people with respect. Assume that we are all one, and treat people that way. And when you come from that place, from the place of love, what's going to transform you eventually, if you raise your frequency consciously and you're doing that, and you put out that frequency, the love's going to come back, and eventually your heart will slowly open up, and you'll start feeling. And then if you're combining that with other practices, yoga, meditation, anything else that raises your consciousness, your frequency, it just all sort of comes together, and you can have a really big breakthrough, which I hope you will. Also, be very, very careful not to listen to any people, sources, news, organizations, anybody that doesn't come at things from a place of love. Like if somebody's coming at a place from a place of real anger, fear, hate, watching the news is completely out of the question unless you're looking at alternative media sources that tell you really what's going on, and at least then you're getting some real information. Don't watch the real news, because it's only there to program you and make you afraid and make you hate other people and close your heart and keep you separated from other people, because people are easily controlled when they're in a fear state, and they, when people are scared, they will follow orders. When people are not afraid and they're full of love and they have love towards other people, they are not easily controlled. And so that is something you need to remember, not only when you're, taking in information from any other sources, when you're dealing with other people too. I'd say just stay away from people who are operating at a lower frequency. If somebody is really negative and angry and they're yelling and they're unhappy, you just have to accept that that's something they have to go through on this part of their journey, and stay away from them. But you, if you are in that place, you don't have to be in that part of your journey any longer than you choose. You can just choose to love and let go of that shit and move on. So be very careful who you associate with and what you listen to. Very, very careful with what you watch on TV, movies, stuff like that. It really does affect your frequency. I hate to say it. I love a good violent movie where people are shooting each other and fighting. It's all really fun and stuff. But when you watch violence, whether it be physical violence or verbal violence, it does lower your frequency, and it does affect you, and it does put you in a fear state. So I'm not saying I'm not going to go and watch the latest Quentin Tarantino movie. I still am. But just be careful how much of that stuff you expose yourself to. Just a thought. So I think that's really the conclusion I wanted to say. I just did a really, really, really amazing podcast with a guy called Philip, where I talk more about my experience, and I really go into it for about half an hour, and then he tells his story, which is just as amazing, for half an hour. So that's on my podcast channel, which has just come out a couple of days ago, so there's a link below for that. And if you're really on this journey of self-development and you want to join me in the Direct Dating Academy, I would urge you to do so, because there'll be some magical stuff coming up in there pretty much right now. And if you're very lucky, I'll see you in Acapulco, February 22nd, 23rd, for the Direct Dating Summit Relationship Mastery event. I think that's all for now. This has been a very interesting video, and I love you all. See you next time.